Hello, and welcome to The Fit Show. I'm Hannah Gordon, bringing you the latest in fitness news. Today is June 14th, 2005, and this is our very first episode of The Fit Show, powered by bodybuilding.com. For our first interview, we have pro bodybuilder Bob Cicherillo and recently retired pro bodybuilder Tom Prince on location at Muscle Beach in Venice, California.
Hello, welcome to Venice Beach, California. We're here on The Fit Show, courtesy of bodybuilding.com. And we have a IFBB pro with us, recently retired, Tom Prince. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Robert.
Good to have you here today.
Hello.
And just got a few questions for you, Tom. A lot of the interviews that you've done with the magazines and for bodybuilding and IFBB has been as a competitor. Now, as most people know, you've recently retired.
Yep.
And just want you to share kind of some of those thoughts that you might have now, things that you might be able to say now that you weren't able to say before. So let's just start right off. Why don't you just give a brief background of yourself, Tom? When did you actually turn pro? How did you actually get to that point?
Turned pro at the 1997 Nationals, won the heavyweights and the overall. Coming forward, competed for the next 4, 5, 6 years as a pro. And retired at the end of 2003.
What was your track record basically during that time of your competitions?
I won nationals at 233 pounds. It took a few years to figure out that, you're going to need to be bigger to be a pro. And it took a couple years to get up to where I was in the mid 250s, competing as a professional. And as soon as I did that, my physique was just fine and did well. Unfortunately, it was right after that I basically got sick and came down with my kidney problems and had to retire.
You didn't start from a bodybuilding background.
No, I started from a swimming background, believe it or not.
I don't think a lot of people know that about you.
Oh, yeah.
You were actually a All-American swimmer.
Yep.
Back in Minnesota, I believe, right?
Yep. I was a high school American. As a matter of fact, I was the third fastest kid in the country my senior in high school. Swam in college on a full scholarship for 3 years. And, when swimming was over, I just needed a way to stay in shape. Started lifting weights. And after about a year lifting weights, I'd gone from 195 to 248.
After 1 year?
After 1 year. And that's what kind of gave me the idea that maybe I had some sort of a genetic predilection for this sport. And decided, wow, I think I actually want to compete and give it a try.
Now, you're known as one of the smarter bodybuilders in a lot of different terms, not only with your contest preparations and your knowledge of that in bodybuilding, but also in your general knowledge of your schooling.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, you actually have a degree in English Lit.
Yeah, I got a master's degree in English literature.
A master's degree in English Lit?
Yeah, in English literature, yeah. An undergrad in English literature and a master's degree in English literature.
How did you juggle going to college, getting your master's, and you were bodybuilding at the same time?
Yep. Well, bodybuilding only took, an hour a day. I was only going to the gym from 6 to 7 in the morning.
People think we're in the gym 6, 7, 8 hours a day.
Yeah, no.
They can't quite figure out how they can actually get there. Because this is a bodybuilding.com exclusive, and you are retired now, we can ask some of the tough questions, some of the good questions.
Sure.
Why, on God's green earth, with a master's degree in English literature, did you decide to go into professional bodybuilding of all things?
I'd already gotten second at the national level, was already making money in bodybuilding, got signed by Metrics. And now I was making almost $85,000 a year. So no matter how high I would have gone in my schooling, and getting a doctorate's about as high as you can go.
Sure.
I was making more as a bodybuilder. I got 2 kids, a wife. There was just no way I could financially take a big pay cut.
You actually had a contract as an amateur. Is that correct?
Yep.
With Metrics, I believe.
Yep, with Metrics.
Which was a little rarer because, as a lot of people know, it's very difficult to get a contract to secure one,
right.
Even as a professional.
Right.
You actually got one as an amateur. How did that unfold?
I got done with the 1996 USA, got second to Craig Titus, and I was doing a photo shoot with Flex Magazine down at the Metrics gym. In Orange County. And Scott Conley came walking in, who owned Metrics at the time, came walking into the photo shoot and said, listen, when you're done with this photo shoot, come on over to the offices. And I went over to the office and he said, we'd love to sign you a contract. He showed me around the Metrics offices, gave me a whole bunch of their products for free. And 3 or 4 days later, had a contract drawn up and ready for me to sign.
Ain't that something? You don't hear that too often,
no,
obviously,
that was
even in today's day.
I consider myself very fortunate. That was really cool.
That 2001 NOC, you took a controversial third-place finish.
Right.
And I say controversial because much like that 96 USA, the debate still rages on to this day that you actually should have won that show.
The one thing I can say about that show is that so many good things happened for me at that show. I finally came in exactly the way I wanted to, the size I wanted to, with the conditioning I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to get shredded, but I'd always lose a lot of muscle doing it. And, I finally came in the condition I wanted to, finally came in the size I wanted to, placed third, got a paycheck from the show, qualified for the Olympia, which has been a lifelong dream. So many good things happened at that show for me that, even getting third didn't bother me that much.
Let's fast forward a little bit. The 2002 Night of the Champions,
right.
We both competed in. You were actually helping me get ready for that show.
Right.
So in effect, you were helping me to possibly beat you.
Right.
A lot of people find that a little strange. They don't understand it. I mean, we both had people ask us, how do you guys do that exactly? How does that work?
Well, it's easy because, first of all, I take more pleasure and I get more out of helping somebody else than I ever did competing for myself.
Do the guys today act professional enough?
I'd say, though, as a group altogether, I don't think they do. I think they would honestly help them to actually, to dress a little better, carry themselves a little better, be a little more approachable to fans, even when they're competing at shows. And the more friendly you are to fans, the more people get like the sport, the more people start wanting to be around the sport because they want to be around the athletes. It would help a lot of the athletes to be a little more pragmatic and realize, where most of their money comes directly from the fans. And, the more fans we bring into the sport, the more money will come into the sport, too.
So let's change focus once again, Tom. Getting back to the nuts and bolts, of your career and all that. So you did fairly well as a professional. I know the last couple of years you were having a difficult time kind of, figuring out how to come in 100%, how to really nail it dead on.
Right.
And I know, again, you being one of the smarter guys out there, especially in terms of contest prep, you seem to be able to dial in pretty much anybody. I mean, you've worked with a number of athletes. I mean, the list goes on. And pretty much all the guys you've worked with have been successful.
Yep.
What was so difficult to bring yourself in? If you have all this knowledge, why couldn't you bring yourself in 100%?
A couple things. First of all, I started having kidney problems in 2001. Of course, I didn't realize at the time I was having kidney problems. I just thought it was holding this amazing amount of water, and I had no idea what the real problem was. Obviously, looking back, in hindsight being 2020, of course, if I had known that, I would have done a lot of things differently.
Sure. You did actually get ready and prepare.
Yep.
For the 2004 Ironman Championships, correct?
Yep.
And that was in February of 2004. Getting ready backstage, what happens?
I started having a hard time breathing again. I could feel my lungs actually filling up with water.
What was the fear at that point? I mean,
I didn't think I was going to be able to make it through 2 poses, much less the whole prejudging.
Sure.
I was having a hard time taking 3 steps and I was trying to walk it off a little bit and nothing, like I said.
Probably a wise move in retrespect, obviously.
Yep. Like I said, I couldn't breathe, so I just said, forget it. It's not worth it.
Obviously not the storybook ending you were hoping for,
no.
To finish your professional bodybuilding career. How does that sit well with you today? That's the way you went out. Are you okay with that? Is it something you regret? Is it something you would have done differently?
It doesn't bother me in the least. I'm just happy, that I made it out alive. I'm happy that I didn't do anything. I wasn't so stupid that I killed myself trying to do everything or trying to do one more show.
Certainly a subject nobody really touches on too much. You've seen it a lot in the papers lately, in the news and the internet, with the big steroid scandal in baseball and other sports. What's the biggest joke, really, when it comes to all this talk about the anabolic steroids and all that?
Well, I think the biggest joke is when they start comparing, the pro hormones to the steroids, first of all. That's just my opinion.
It's kind of comical. I mean, for them to even compare one to the other.
No, so with Mark McGwire taking androstenedione, and now the college football player that was caught taking androstenedione and still got drafted in the NFL, but they're saying that that's a steroid. I mean,
is there a sport that steroids aren't in?
No.
So pretty much anything you can almost think of.
Anything.
Who really cares? And is it the people? Is it the fans?
It's not the fans that are putting up the big push to get steroids, tested. It's the. I think the government needs a political hot point, and that, they wanted a problem. Now they have a problem. And there's such a big, there's millions of dollars at stake now for all these other professions. Not necessarily bodybuilding, but football, baseball, basketball, hockey. There's millions of dollars that are at stake, and that can set up your family for life. Is anybody really surprised that a highly driven, almost obsessed athlete would go to every possible length to make himself better, to earn these millions, to set up his family for the rest of his life? I mean, I don't know. No. Well, literally, you almost couldn't tell him no.
Well, literally, isn't it the major sports owners, teams, whatever you want to call it, that are really at fault here when they're dangling the carrot out in the front of $1 million contracts? And we're talking some of these sports, you're talking multi-million-dollar contracts.
Absolutely.
Like you say, you're an athlete, you're an elite athlete in high school, and there's that carrot out there dangling.
Right.
Is it hard to fault these kids, for getting involved?
Not at all.
Is it hard to fault them for doing anything they can to get to that point?
Not at all. You could absolutely see how they do it.
And that's a tough one because, what do you tell a kid?
Don't go for that millions of dollars and go ahead and go work your regular 9-to-5 job making $40,000 a year, and
that's what I mean.
Instead of making millions.
That's a tough one.
And
I think it's going to be kind of interesting to see what happens over the next few years or so. Right. Not only just in bodybuilding but other sports as well.
Right.
Which will give me my last and final question, Tom. When the name Tom Prince goes into the Bodybuilding Hall of Fame, okay?
Okay.
Do you want to remember it as Tom Prince the bodybuilder, or do you want to remember it as Tom Prince the trainer?
Tom Prince the trainer, I hope. I'd rather people remember me the way I am now than when I was an athlete. I was incredibly moody, more so than anybody I've ever known. Sure. I'm not like that anymore for the most part. I'm glad that's gone.
Tom, thanks for the interview.
Well, thanks, Bob.
You got it.
It was fun.
Just watch the uncensored, no-holds-barred interview with IFBB pro Tom Prince. You saw it right here on The Fit Show, courtesy of bodybuilding.com. Until next time, I'm Bob Ciccarello. We'll see you around.
Okay, there you have it. The no-holds-barred interview with retired pro Tom Prince. Stay tuned next week for another episode of The Fit Show, right here on bodybuilding.com. I'm Hannah Gordon. Thanks for watching.